However, the relationship that people have with money supersedes a lot of things, including the relationship they have with themselves. In fact, money is their identity. What do you say to those people?
What are you asking when you ask me, what do I say to them?
I'm curious. I'm curious if one of them, if you're working with one of them.
Well, it isn't about me saying something to them. I answer the question. What do they want to know, right? So once again, you see, Mo, and I'm not picking on you, Mo, but listen.
I love it. Keep going.
No, you know what's going on here? Do you see? You are providing a wonderful display and examination of just how conditioned human beings have become, because the foundational question is so given that it isn't even mentioned. The foundational question is setting someone straight. How do you make them not feel that way? How do you correct and fix their view? How do you make them feel better? You didn't even ask that, but you don't have to. You ask the next level up, assuming that because that's a given, right? So when you asked me, what would you tell the guy who's basically attached to money? That's what you're asking. Okay, you wanted me to fix the guy, to make him unattached to money, right? And the reason that you believe that is because you believe in shoulds and prescriptions. You believe that he shouldn't be attached to money, and that's because you believe in good and bad. Do you see the layers?
Clearly, I see it clearly.
Foundational layers. I would say, if someone's attached to money, what's the problem? If someone's a heathen, what's the problem? Now, if the person says to me, I have a massive problem. This is eating me alive. I genuinely want a way out. Different conversation. Different conversation. But we live in a society where the motivational speaker and the priest and the mindfulness expert
it's a quicker fix.
Right? What they're doing is they throw confetti on people, right? Oh, you're sad. Here's a good way to not be sad anymore. Let me give you a hack, right?
Sure.
And that person needs to get in the face with a sledgehammer because he is the one spreading the coronavirus. The coronavirus is not about coronavirus. There's a far bigger coronavirus, and that's called prescription. That's Ebola times 1,000. Coronavirus is small.
Well, I mean, obviously, that type of person has to have a willingness to let go of what he or she believes, right? Until you're ready to do that, it's hard to take that next level of seriousness that you talk about.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a willingness. I mean, even that's force. I would say it's an outright desire to do so. And even this is really instructive, Mo, because willingness, where'd that come from? You came up with the word willingness. It's a very revealing word. You came up with the word willingness because it reveals that someone doesn't really want to change, and they better want to change if they want to get better. That's once again forcing someone out of where they want to be based upon the idea that they should, based upon the idea of good and bad, right and wrong, correct and incorrect. That's where willingness comes from. Did you ever say they better be willing to eat chocolate ice cream?
No, I haven't.
Because there's no good or bad. Let the heathen be a heathen. Leave him alone. There is no changing anyone. There is no prescribing to anyone. That is the rule of society. That is the chaos of society. That's that domain. The fact of the matter is, whatever one or two things I might have said that might have tickled one or two people, at the end of the day, Mo, let's be honest, right? I got a handful of years to live. Who knows? Maybe I got a day to live. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But most of my insights are going to die with me. And my insights, in truth, are not even my own. They just came. They came from because their desire to learn the truth is astronomical. But even that came. So none of it is self-created. Like I didn't create any of that. But the number of people who really want this level, it's extraordinarily small. And that isn't a bad thing or a good thing. It's just the state of affairs. So honesty is saying the way things are, not the way that they should be.
Right. So I'm trying to discover ways to get out of my own way, right? Trying to discover ways so I can identify those those immersive things that
Well,
I
also,
need to identify to get out of my own
why you
mind.
don't go your own way? I'll tell you why.
What? Tell me.
You don't want to. And no, I did not say that you should. You just don't want to.
But I do.
No, you don't.
But I do.
Okay.
Pretend that I do.
Okay. Listen. Stop. If I put a camera on you, right, and I watched you, and I watched the video footage every night, okay, would I see a person who all day is immersed in trying to get out of his own way?
Probably not. No.
So that means you don't want it. So you're wrong. And I must hammer home that I did not imply in the least that you should.
I agree.
Clouds are white, the sky is blue. Clouds shouldn't be black and the sky shouldn't be red. The sky is blue, clouds are white. Mo does not want to get out of his own way. And Mo is not a bad person for doing so. Mo is not unself-development motivated for being, that's just where you are. You don't want to get out of your own way. There's a very, very, very huge, massive, fundamental tidal wave of difference, Mo, between want and would be nice if. Okay?
Sure, I get it.
So the guy who really wants to, let's say, start a company and become a billionaire, and he goes and devotes his life to it and does it, he's not even in the same zip code as the guy who says, boy, it sure would be nice if I got $1 billion.
Yeah, I agree.
So all things begin and end with maniacal desire. And the thing that you want in your life are precisely the things that you already have. And you know how I know that? Because you have them.
All right, so I'm trying to process that. However, assume for a moment with me that I have a job, right? I have a job and I work 10 hours a day and so forth and so on. And I really do have a deep level of commitment to try to get to this truth that we talk about, right? It may not be 24/7, but it may be, something that I have a deep level of awareness of. Why would you look at that as something that, hey, I'm not ready for that? What would cause you to think that, despite the fact that I'm not committed 24/7 to it, I'm not ready to reveal that person that that the truth reveals?
Because there is something that everyone is ready for. And that something is what they do 24/7.
And is it doable when you actually have to get up and go to work every day for 10 hours a day? Would you consider that part of the 24/7, or do you have to abandon that?
Nothing is doable. Nothing is doable. It is only the things that you have no choice but to do are doable. Everything else is not doable. There is something in your life that you do 24 hours a day without counting the hours. There are things in your life that you do without even thinking. Every single day, every single night.
Mm-hmm.
You never say, is it doable to do that? You only say, is it doable to do things that you don't really want to do? If I put a bunch of money in an undisclosed location, and you have a meeting at 5 o'clock, and I tell you, I left you a whole bunch of money, but it's only available at 5 o'clock. Are you gonna? And you're hungry for money. You're starving and you need money. Are you going to say, is it doable to get there at 5 o'clock?
Of course not.
Okay, so that's my point. You only ask the doable and is it okay if I practice 12 hours, not 12? It's all nonsense. It's all lies. Everyone is a liar. And that isn't bad. That's what they are. Everyone's a liar.
So when you think about, so basically we're all telling ourselves stories, right? And those stories are validating that we need to stay in kind of on the path that we're on right now, as opposed to be completely abandon that, let go of that shit and head towards the truth. Is it that desperation then that we don't have?
Only if the desire for that is there. There's no like, I'm on this path and I need to let go of this and go for the truth. No, no, that's prescriptive. If the desire overwhelms the person to go for the truth, then they'll automatically move in that direction. If they do it because they should, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree that it's a waste of time, right? But again, as we've talked about in the past, there's shit that's getting in the way that for whatever reason either we don't want to face or we can't identify or both. Right? And perhaps we haven't reached that level of desire to look deeper or to get into that immersive phase that you're talking about that would allow us to at least get a window into that and try to understand it.
Well, I'm not talking about a phase. I'm not talking about getting to some stage or some level. I'm saying that everyone is obsessed with something. And the only thing that they will get in their life consistently is the thing that they're obsessed with. Everyone gets what they want.
Your obsession is truth.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That isn't a good thing. You know, that's not good and positive. And
but it's your life.
I didn't choose that, right? That it was a chosenness. I never chose that. I never sat down with a guidance counselor and said, what would be good and fit my personality type? What a bunch of crap. That's an insult to a human organism. No one chooses anything. We are chosen.
And for those people, Kapil, who aspire to be chosen, at some point are they just going to feel it? Do they choose themselves? Do we make a decision to kill off the past and move in a different direction?
If the aspiration is that strong, then they will not wait to be chosen. If the aspiration is that strong, they've already been chosen.
Yeah, I guess that's what separates.
It's all about self-honesty, and the reason, and it's not human beings' fault they're not self-honest. It's not. It's that society has condemned them, which prevents them from being self-honest. Because if a person says, I don't know, I don't think before I act. Fine, okay. Society, and they've internalized society, which is the mind. The mind is an internalized society. That's what the mind is. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. The mind will come down upon them and say, "Well, you should always think before you act." That's totally wrong. How can you not think before you? Do you know how much pain you have caused by not thinking before you act? But here's 5 steps. From now on, make sure that you do it. And then when you don't do it, it says, and see, I gave you a way to do it, and you didn't even follow through. You're just bad, right? So when that is the environment, when that is the microenvironment, and it's all based upon good or bad, then the human being is imprisoned forever. Mm-hmm. He is imprisoned by the guillotine of badness. He is on the hook to become good. And therefore, he will follow any prescription and any rule which gives him the self-image, even in his own eyes, of being a good person. And that is why he will not be self-honest, including you. I guarantee you, if I put a GoPro, if I put a video camera on you, and I watch you, you're going to be doing a whole bunch of nonsense. And the first thing you're going to say right now is, I know, you're right, I will. Even that's nonsense. If you really knew that it was nonsense, you wouldn't be doing it. So you don't know. That's just lip service. You don't know. That's the beginning of self-honesty. Not by me saying it to you, but by you giving yourself the freedom to be able to acknowledge that inside yourself without the slightest bit of self-condemnation. That is the beginning of the Holy Grail. And that exists nowhere in society. Not in the meditation hall, not in the retreat, not with the mindfulness instructor, not with the motivational speaker, not even with the priest. That exists nowhere.
So do you think all of us deal with this self-image that's a lie then? Is that identity a lie? Is that just bullshit?
It doesn't matter what it is. Your first question was more honest, because as soon as you ask if it's no good, well, that's just back to prescription. What if I say, yeah, it's no good?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to
do? All right. Well, pretend I didn't say that.
You're going to say, oh, since I said it was no good, you're going to dissolve your self-image in 5 minutes?
No, I didn't say that. Pretend I didn't say it.
Okay, so your first question was valid. Are we all just lying to ourselves through self-image? The answer to that is yes. Now, all that remains is, where'd that question come from? Was that a question for listeners? Was that a question that was intellectual? Or did it tear your heart out?
It was a
question. Don't answer that question. But you can't answer it right now. You're going to be put on the spot. I'm not putting you on the spot. All conversations are between you and you. It isn't about condemnation. It isn't about judgment. It isn't about me standing here and saying this because you're going to assume that I want you to say X and you're going to say X because that's what you've been raised by the culture to do. If you don't do it, you're bad. And here's 5 steps to get out of it. If you don't do the 5 steps, now you're really bad. Well, guess what? There is no badness, first of all. Second of all, the 5 steps don't work. So you're screwed all the way around.
Yeah, so it's that the validation of right or wrong, that we're just stuck in that damn thinking.
Well, just the belief that there is actually a right action, or a right thought, or a right thing to do. That simply doesn't exist. The fundament of truth is so revolutionary that it so completely tears the most foundational elements of all that a human has taught. He no longer knows which way is up. He'll be afraid to even say his own name in fear that even that may be a lie. The human has drifted so deep into lies and untruths that he shouldn't say a word. Everything is a lie. No one realizes the degree to which society has completely imprisoned and destroyed the fabric of the human organism.